Okay, so we're all living in this digital world, right? Smartphones are everywhere. They're how we connect, how we learn, how we kill time. But when it comes to our youngest kids, a really tough question is starting to bubble up.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? Is that shiny little screen a friend or a foe? I mean, it's a question that probably keeps a lot of parents up at night. We hear they're these amazing tools for learning, but at the same time, we can't help but worry about what might be happening behind the scenes.
So I want you to just look at this number for a second. 78%. It's a lot.
That's the percentage of parents in a recent study who said they've seen developmental issues in their own kids that they believe are linked to smartphone use. So let's be super clear. This isn't some vague, far-off concern. For the vast majority of families in this study, it's something they're seeing with their own eyes.
Okay, so if parents are seeing all these problems, you gotta ask, why are so many little kids using smartphones to begin with? Well, as it turns out, the reasons are way more complicated than you'd think.
So check this out. It's really interesting when you break it down. Sure, you've got entertainment at 65% and learning right behind it. But look at the other big reasons. Almost 43% of parents use them to keep their kids calm. And get this, nearly 38% use them just to get their child to eat a meal. So yeah, education is part of the goal, but the reality is that the smartphone has also become this essential coping tool for just getting through the day.
This quote from one of the parents in the study wow, it really hits home, doesn't it? I cannot feed my child without a smartphone. It perfectly captures that feeling of dependency that can build up where the phone solves an immediate problem, like mealtime, but might be creating a much bigger one down the road.
And that dependency, well, it comes with a price. So let's take a look at the specific issues that parents are actually noticing in their kids.
The data here is pretty stark. I mean, look at this. Nearly half of the kids showing problems had decreased concentration. 40% were showing excessive anger, and almost a third had speech delays. These aren't just little quirks. These are fundamental building blocks of a child's development we're talking about.
And here's what that looks like in human terms. Another parent explained it this way. All that time on the phone means they're not connecting with other people, not learning how to share what they're feeling. And that's the real kicker, you know? It's not just about what kids are doing on the screen. It's about everything they're not doing in the real world because of it.
The scale of this whole thing gets even clearer when you look at how much time we're talking about. Now, it's good that over half the kids are within that 1 hour recommended limit, but that means a whopping 44% are going over it, and nearly 1 in 5 are spending more than 2 hours a day on a device. For a toddler, that's a huge chunk of their waking life.
But here's where the plot thickens. Right as we're starting to really understand these risks, this whole other story emerges, one that paints technology not as the problem, but as the ultimate solution.
I mean, we all remember what happened in 2020. The pandemic turned everything upside down, especially school. In Bangladesh alone, 42 million students were suddenly at home. And who stepped in? EdTech platforms. They became this crucial lifeline for learning.
And with that sudden need came an absolute tidal wave of money. Get this, funding for EdTech in Bangladesh went from about $150,000 in 2018 to $6 million by 2022. That's not a trend, my friends. That is an explosion.
And you can imagine how confusing this was and still is for parents. On one hand, you've got experts warning you about developmental risks. And on the other, you have this booming industry telling you that these very same screens are the key to your child's future. It's a total paradox.
So how in the world are we supposed to navigate this? Well, the answer might actually be in something that's, as old as humanity itself. Good old-fashioned play.
Have you ever heard of a toy library? It's such a brilliant idea. Just think of it like your local book library, but instead of books, you can borrow amazing, high-quality toys. But it's more than that. It's a place for parents to connect and get support.
And the benefits are just huge. They give families access to all sorts of toys they could never afford on their own. They help kids develop creative and physical skills. They build a real community for parents. And they even host these stay-and-play sessions where everyone can just have fun together.
When you put the two side by side, the difference is just so clear. The digital world can be isolating, right? It can lead to just passively consuming content. But physical play, that's what builds social skills, what sparks creativity, and develops all those crucial motor skills. It's really about creating versus just consuming.
And this isn't just a nice idea on paper.
Real places like the Park City Edutainment Academy in Bangladesh are already doing this. They're creating these amazing spaces that blend learning and fun so well that kids actually want to be there. As they put it, kids go not by force, but with a smiling face. How great is that?
At the end of the day, this isn't about throwing technology in the trash. It's about finding a healthy balance. So let's wrap this up with a practical toolkit that can help you navigate this new world.
Remember that study from the beginning? It also found that over 75% of parents had never even heard of the official expert guidelines for screen time. So there's this huge gap between what the experts know and what parents are being told.
But here's the thing. The guidelines themselves are actually pretty simple and totally doable. First, create screen-free zones, like no phones at the dinner table. Second, watch with your kid and talk about what you're seeing. Third, choose quality stuff, educational and slow-paced. And finally, and this one is so important, power everything down at least an hour before bed.
And this, right here, might be the most hopeful and empowering part of this whole story. Even among the parents who didn't know the official rules, over 81% who just made up their own house rules found that they actually worked. It just goes to show you that a parent's intuition is an incredibly powerful thing.
So the real question isn't whether technology is good or bad. It's about how we can be more intentional. How can we, as parents, as a community, design a childhood that gets the absolute best from our amazing digital tools while also fiercely protecting the irreplaceable magic of just playing in the real world?